an InvestView company.
Hey, welcome back. It's a Freaky Friday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming today live as we do every single day, noon to 2 Eastern. We're in our downtown Liquid Lunch outpost right here on Broadway. Right down the street a little further is the New York Stock Exchange. And today everyone is joyous there as the market is up 338 points as we speak. More great things to come. I've been talking to you for a while about how 28,000 to me is the new support level. A close on a Friday above 28,000 is real good news from a technical standpoint. I think it's good. Sit back, mix up a martini, have a great weekend. Talking about financial news, we bring in now Simon Constable. He's a financial commentator and author of the book, The Wall Street Journal Guide to the 50 Economic Indicators That Really Matter, from Big Macs to zombie banks. Simon, thank you for joining us again on Liquid Lunch. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me, John. It's always a pleasure.
So a lot of crazy things are going on with the economy here in America, and it seems like every day we're doing a TikTok on what rumors trickle out of the trade talks. And I think Trump did something that was very clever from a negotiating standpoint last week and say, you know what, we don't have to do a deal right now, and we can wait till after 2020. And I think that gave a little more certainty to the markets that Trump wasn't going to be forced into a corner.
Yes, certainly you don't want to give away your hand when you're in negotiations. You don't want to say, oh, I've got to get this deal done by Friday, 4 o'clock, because everyone's going to wait till 3:59 to talk to you. So, it's a very smart move. And the numbers that we've just got out today about unemployment are fantastic. They're 3.5% unemployment. The last time we saw that level was in 1969.
Wow.
Think about it. 1969.
Wow, I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, these are the lowest unemployment numbers you've ever seen in your lifetime. So,
to paraphrase Jim Cramer, this is the lowest of your lifetime. I mean, it's incredible.
Wow.
Simon, in addition to the unemployment rate, there were quite a few jobs created in terms of a raw number, right? Over 260,000. How did that compare with what people were expecting?
Oh, it's a lot better than expected, and it's a very good number. If you can create more than 250,000 jobs every month, you've got a very, very robust economy, and that's what this shows. That's a net figure, so clearly some people lose their jobs, some people gain them, and you continue, and that's, in a sense, the strength of the U.S. economy. You know, it doesn't matter. You lose a job, you go get another one. 250,000 or up is great, because think about that, 12 times a quarter, that's like 3 million jobs a year, and that's great, and that will keep up and exceed population growth, and it clearly is doing that now. So that is very, very good. I will add one thing, though, that the bond market was telling us something good was going to be happening in the economy much earlier this year. So if you look at the bond spreads, which tells you how much good businesses have to pay more than the government pays to borrow money, the amount extra was coming down fast, which meant that bond lenders, people making those loans, were less nervous. They knew the economy was going to get better, and hey presto, it has got better.
And if you were following any of the financial prognosticators, we heard when there was an inverted yield curve that there was a recession right around the corner. We heard when we did the steel and aluminum tariffs that this was going to lead to a recession. We heard when we did the tariffs on China that was going to lead to a recession. It's clear none of those things actually proved to be the case. What is driving this continued positive growth when it comes to job numbers?
Well, I think it's capital, right? It's capital is essential to capitalism, and that sounds a very trite phrase, but it isn't. If you want to grow your economy, you have the people, you have the intellect, you have the workhorses and the people who will do that work, but you need capital, and capital goes where it's best treated, and it's being best treated in America. Among the largest economies I'm talking about, there may be small economies that might be growing faster or whatever, but the US is treating its capital the best at the moment. It has relatively low tax rates. It's got a very good environment from which to do business. You won't get your ideas stolen by the government. government or by another company. At least you can go to court if that happens. Money is flowing into the US and it's fleeing other places, and that's great. That's great for America.
That's what we like to see. I'm supportive of the president. His economic policies are some of the best I've seen in years. We've had Stephen Moore on. We actually have Stephen Moore on a little later in the show today. The economy is booming, but one place I've been critical of the president, Simon, is I want him to lay off the Fed chairman. He's supposed to be independent. The Fed chairman was appointed to him by a reason, and he keeps pounding this guy. These jobs numbers and this market performance probably takes the thought of a cut next week at the December 11th Fed meeting. That cut, they call it an possible insurance cut. That's probably off the table now, isn't it?
One would hope if the Fed was independent, or unless they know something we don't, that was off the table. And certainly the president has to walk a fine line between, being the hustler and, mover and shaker that the role requires, and letting the Fed get on with what it needs to do. Now, it should leave the criticism of the Fed to people like Stephen Moore and me and Frank and you, because the Fed legitimately faces some criticisms about the way it does business. And, that's fair. But the government has to leave or at least the executive branch has to leave the Fed alone. Otherwise, you start ending up looking like Turkey and Erdogan, who, basically you look at that central bank and say there's no credibility there at all.
Absolutely. That's one place where I've kind of tried to encourage the president, who watches the show frequently, to lay off the Fed and give the guy a little bit of independence. Simon, your insights are always welcome and exceptionally thoughtful. We really appreciate you making some time for us today, and hopefully one of these days we'll get you in studio to actually have a liquid lunch with us.
That would be great. Always love a liquid lunch. Thank you very much, John and Frank.
Simon, great job. Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. More liquid lunch right after this.